I'm Donni Ray, and this is the PRIV Talks podcast. Join me and my team as we pull back the curtain on work, life, family, friendship, leadership, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. We hope these conversations will inspire you, make you feel connected, and bring you a laugh. Welcome back. It's Donni, founder and creative director of Privilege. Hi, Leah.
Hi, it's Leah here, operations manager. I was going to say creative manager. Whoa.
Ooh,
Hello.
Hello.
Coffee.
It's Kate, the PR manager.
I'm so glad you're here, Kate. We don't get you that often.
To be here.
Yeah, we're live. We're live from LA.
Yes, we are. And we have a fabulous guest in front of us. Why don't we get right down to it? All right. She is the best-selling author of 3 books, a keynote speaker, a YouTuber, a career and internship advisor. And that's just a few of the titles that this boss babe holds. She is making a major impact with her work and has been featured on The Today Show, Marie Claire, Who What Wear, Refinery 29, Glamour, and many more. I love the name dropping here. We're excited to welcome CEO and founder of internqueen.com and careerqueen.com, Lauren Berger.
Thanks for having me. Berger?
Oh.
Like hamburger.
As I said it, I panicked. Did you see it coming out? I'm like, oh no.
That is quite the roster. That's a sweet resume you got going.
Thanks. Yeah,
And it's just the beginning.
It is just the beginning. Yeah.
I didn't even name everything that you do. I was like reading through your bios. I'm like, I don't even know how to summarize this for our intro. You've done some amazing things.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot. I was telling you guys before we started, it's been 10 years now of everything Intern Queen, and now we have Career Queen too. So a lot of really good, exciting stuff.
So good.
You've written 3 books.
3 books.
Yes.
That's actually
And I'm trying to push off the 4th as far as possible.
That's a lot of work, right? Writing a book is an insane amount of work.
It is. And I think it's one of those things where when I'm not in writing mode, I'm like, ooh, I want to be writing a book. I was watching a television show last night about the character in the show, You're the Worst. I don't know if you guys watch that. But he's writing a book. And I was like, do I want to write a book? And then my husband was like, no, please no. He's like, please
do not do this.
Yeah. It takes over my life. It takes over his life. And it's chaos for a good 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
I think it's just
admire
so
that.
amazing that people can sit down and write.
I love writing, but I have never written that volume.
No, it
Right.
seems like a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Well, and trying to focus on anything for more than 5 minutes in 2019 is just impossible. So I remember writing this last book, which I did in 2018. That's when I was writing it. It was so much harder than my first 2 books because of Instagram and just, the notifications have tripled since my last books had come out.
Wow, right.
So just trying to focus. I mean, I would throw my phone across the room. I would do anything I could to just get in the zone. That was definitely harder than actually, coming up with the material.
That makes sense.
What a great way to work on that skill, though.
Yeah.
'Cause I find just reading a book to be incredibly challenging. I've loved to read my entire life, and I can't focus. I have way too many distractions.
It is a challenge. I actually, in my most recent book that came out, Get It Together, that's a big focus of the book is just finding your zone and being able to do that. It's hard. I challenge myself with that every day.
Yeah. Well, let's get more to that after we do our Q&A.
Okay.
Donni, do you want to kick us
Perfect.
off with your boss or bust?
My boss or bust. What is my boss or bust?
I feel like you're a boss.
Okay, here. I've had major FOMO this week over this one thing.
Okay.
You guys all know that I'm kind of interested in investing and
You're interested in Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, cryptocurrencies is part of it, but also I look at a lot of stocks and things like that and just kind of watch what's happening. And there was one IPO that happened last week that I was totally into. Well, I didn't know about it until after the fact, and I'm so mad that I missed it. It was Beyond Meat.
I should have told you I knew about it.
And have you heard of Beyond Meat?
I have.
Okay, so I'm kind of mildly obsessed with Beyond Meat burgers, but that has
great.
also been a current obsession of mine before. But they went, it's so cool because it's great to see people really absorbing a company that's about something good.
And there was a stat about their offering, wasn't it one of the highest one? Oh, there was a stat that was phenomenal about what they did with their IPO.
They tripled.
Yeah.
In a week. And I mean, amazing for everybody that did get in, but maybe it'll come back down. Maybe there's a chance.
Maybe.
But anyways, I didn't get in, and so I'm gonna take a bus for that. But kind of cool for them.
Yeah, anyways. That's really cool. It's a boss for them.
Yeah, 100%.
That's really cool.
What about
for a fully vegan meat company?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the virus is spreading.
Yeah,
I'm not a vegan, but I just like
me neither.
appreciate vegan foods.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool that we have like a positive movement in the world that's taking.
Yeah, off. Agreed. Okay, so mine is a little bit more exercise related. My friend Rachel is a trainer. We've had her on here before, Daily Routine Fitness. She texted me like a week ago and was like, Leah, let's go do the Coquitlam Crunch. And for anyone who's not from Coquitlam, it's 500 stairs up and 500 stairs down. So I was like, sure, we'll do a Coquitlam Crunch on a rockin' Saturday night at 8 p.m.
At 8 p.m. you did it?
Yes. I was almost not going to go. That was the first thing. Because I was like, I already took my bra off. There's no way I'm leaving the house now. But she was like, come on, let's do it. Oh, and she's a trainer, so she gets you. Anyhow, we did it. And I was like, Kate, we did it once. Like, we're good to go. And she's like, okay, let's do it. And she like starts walking to do it again. And I was like, no, I did my exercise.
I'm done.
Like, I'm done now. Thank you. Done. Workout check.
Oh, yeah.
I've got some Pinot Noir in the car, and I will be over here.
I put a sangria in the fridge because I had poured it when she texted me. So I had sangria in the fridge at home, and I was like, no, I'm good with this.
I got to get,
I have
somewhere important to be in 10 minutes.
But I couldn't ditch her because she's already walking. So we did it twice, which is like 40 minutes, 2,000-ish stairs. And I couldn't walk for like 3 days. It was so like such a good leg workout. I got addicted and now I can't stop going. My husband and I, like, we went twice in a week. I'm like all about these stairs now.
You know what I like about doing stairs? Because I do stairs sometimes.
Yeah.
Not that many. At the end of my, where I live, there's like a really solid thing of stairs. Yeah. And so you can do it like 10 times. It's like a really good workout. And so I'll go do it with like my 5-year-old and we'll go for a walk and we'll do some stairs. Definitely not to that intensity. But I like that you're going somewhere. Yeah. So it's not like you're just like walking down a stepper or on the treadmill or going, like, you're actually like outside, you're breathing the fresh air and you're kind of going somewhere. It just goes by.
And this one is beautiful because when you're walking up, they have wildflowers on each side. And then they have little plaques on every few steps. And it's like halfway there, like, good job, keep going, you can do it. So you're like, they've really built it intentionally. And at the top is this beautiful view of the Tri-Cities. Yeah. And then you go down and do it all over again. And then you can't walk for 3 days. So anyhow, I feel like that's a boss.
I just want to know how mad you were at Rachel when she started going up the second time.
When she started going the second time, I was like, my legs are shaking. I may fall over. I don't think I'm going to make it. And she's like, come on. And I was just like, I didn't have time to be mad. I was like, oh my gosh, if I don't go, she's going to like kick my butt.
We are not friends.
That is a boss, because I would have sat down. I would have been like, I'll wait for you right here. Let me know when you're done.
It was so tempting.
My friends here really always try to pull that. Like, we'll go for a hike and we'll be done and they're like, we're going to go again. Or now we're going to go do a workout class. And I'm like, wait, what?
We're
like,
going to go to spin.
This isn't what I signed up for. And now I feel like unaccomplished if there's a part 2 that I'm not finishing. So
it's like they took the win out of it completely.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I thought I was getting a gold star and you just made me
at least would think you could like get some tacos at the end of it or something.
Right. Something. Give me
I had sangria and Rachel bribed me with an anti-inflammatory juice at the end. So she knows her audience. She's like, you're going to need this.
Rachel,
she knows
pulled
your
out all the stops.
Oh, yeah. So that was my boss. Kate, what about you?
I've been waiting to use this one because we planned this podcast a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I started as an intern.
Yeah.
Look where I am.
Started from the bottom.
Yeah.
And I graduated this week. So
and now you started as an intern and now you're podcasting in LA with the Intern Queen. How does that
exactly.
sound?
I love that.
Yeah, that's my boss.
And you didn't even, there wasn't like a position for you in the beginning. You're like, I'll do anything. You just need me full time. Like you really were not taking no for an answer.
It's like, this is what I'm doing. Is this okay?
Okay. But truthfully, like, as you know, at that point in time, the hiring department, like hard work does trump everything. So if you see that, it's pretty hard to deny it, and it's pretty hard to turn. You have to be. Oh yeah, it's hard to turn you away.
Yeah, we could not have turned Kate away. She was like, "I'm full time now, so what do you got for me?"
I'm not going anywhere.
It was like, oh, okay, you're on
get paid.
Yeah, I love that. That's definitely an awesome boss moment. Congratulations. Love those intern success stories.
So good.
Let's see.
Yeah.
My boss or bust moment. So we actually had I had, at Intern Queen, we do a lot of helping students get internships. At Career Queen, we help people get jobs. And then we also do a lot of college marketing for brands. So sometimes I deal with happy clients and sometimes I deal with unhappy clients. And that's part of it. And so we had an unhappy client this week who essentially, I want to say, fired us or said, we're not going to work with you again over a small issue that's not super important. But I had to basically have that conversation with this client where they basically said, we are not going to work with you anymore. And it was definitely one of those moments where I said to myself, okay, how am I going to handle this, right? I could take road A and be really pissed off, right? Or I can just try to save the relationship because it's a long road, it's a long career, and you never know when you're going to interact with people again.
Absolutely. So true.
I gave them this whole monologue about how there may have been some issues, and if it was on us, we take responsibility, but we hope at the end of the day that we showed them that we get an A+ for effort and that we care more than anyone. And maybe down the road they'll miss that a little bit, and they'll miss that passion, and hopefully we'll learn from whatever went wrong, and we'll be there with open arms waiting to work with them again in the future.
That's a really good attitude.
How did they respond to that?
I think they were a little bit caught off guard, honestly. I think that they were a little bit nervous about how the conversation would go. So I think it was a little bit of surprise and delight, which was good, especially with those conversations are always awkward. And, I felt like it was a bust that I turned into a boss moment.
Oh yeah,
if that makes sense.
You really did, Lauren, for sure.
So, just take it, because I think sometimes whenever you're having a controversial moment with anyone, I think sometimes the gut reaction is to fight back, right? And to argue and to be upset. But I felt like I really turned that off and just kind of made it great at the end. And
you put your defenses down.
Yeah, I can walk away with my head held high, and you learn from it. You take it for what it is and move on to the next thing.
I actually find I reference this a lot, and it's something my mom always said growing up, and I'm sure your moms did too. And she always said, honesty is the best policy. Yeah. And it's something that rings in my ears all the time when I have something where I've done something wrong, because we all do something wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Or your business is, at the forefront of something and there was a mistake made, and you have to kind of be humble for a second.
You have to put your tail between your legs and just.
And I find in that, being on the other end of that, a lot of people run. A lot of people just run. They don't deal with it. They want to blame. They don't want to take ownership. And I refuse. I'm like, I'll put it forward. I'll be the first to say, I'm so sorry. We were totally wrong.
Right.
And I don't expect anything out of this conversation except for me to just show you I care.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because, and it's funny because we have a factory, we're in manufacturing. So obviously we have factory problems all the time. That is the nature of the industry. And it makes such a difference when they care and when they don't.
Oh, huge.
Because we have chosen factories based on the fact purely alone that they care. Yeah, they've made a ton of mistakes, but they care and they are fighting through them.
Right. Right. And you want to work with people like that you can call up, they'll answer whenever, and you just know that they care. And
integrity is everything.
Yeah. Right.
Everything else is workable.
Right.
But
so that was my best turned boss.
I love that. I love that. Okay, Donni, what is your current obsession this week?
My current obsession
this week or this hour, because
always changing.
Okay, you know what I'm obsessed with, and I have so many clothes in my wardrobe, and I'm talking about getting rid of 80% of them. So if anybody wants some, reach out to me and you can come shop my closet.
Right.
All I wear on repeat are these Henleys. This sounds like such a shill for privilege, but seriously, I've been living in them. They're my favorite tops. We just made them. We have a line of basics.
Right.
And I just have been wearing them on repeat. So it's like almost to the point where it's embarrassing, but I like them.
They're amazing.
That's my current obsession.
Okay, my current obsession is there's a Ben & Jerry's vegan ice cream.
Since when?
Oh, a long time. Trust me, I've eaten
coconut?
many a pint. It's coconut.
It's many a pint.
I have had many a pint. And they're the cheapest at Superstore in Canada. I don't know where they would be the cheapest in the US, but they're like $3 cheaper at Superstore because they're like a $10 pint.
Do you polish off the whole thing?
I have been known to. Okay, but the flavor is amazing. It's a cookies and cream, and there's like giant chunks of Oreo cookie. It's not like the cookies and cream where it's like a little speckle.
bits.
No, it's like chunks of cookie with like the icing still in it. And then there's also in this one, it's cookies and cream and peanut butter. So there's like peanut butter swirls.
It keeps you going. Like it's like you can't walk away from the bucket because you keep thinking you're going to get like a chunk.
Yeah. And then you do, and then you're like, there's another one.
Yeah, I agree. I make rules in my head about that too. I'm like, ooh,
Just
I'm going to stop eating as soon as I get to the next chunk.
Yeah, as soon as, next thing you know, goodbye.
Right. It's empty.
Yeah. It's so good. It's like my favorite ice cream. I've eaten like 2 pints this week.
You should get some
It's
later.
Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
What about you, Kate? What's your current obsession?
I'm loving that Summer Fridays jet lag mask. My friends got it for me as like a little grad gift. They stuffed like a skincare package like in this bag they got me. And I used it on the plane today, and I feel like it made my skin look I didn't sleep only 2 hours last night.
And you're so glowy right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Like so glowy.
Seriously,
I love
you
it.
know you're 22 when you sleep 2 hours before a flight. Our flight was at 6 a.m. this morning.
Oh, yeah.
But look at your freaking skin right now. It's
I feel like it's way better after that mask.
it's
not
not
dull.
fair.
It's like a dewy
good.
plum. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you.
I feel like I should do that mask every day.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, Lauren,
That's a
what's
good
your
one.
current
And
obsession?
it was funny. I was just talking. I was mentioning earlier that on the Nordstrom app, there's a button you can click that says looks, and it's all of these like Nordstrom stylists, I guess, that put together these looks. And every night before I go to bed, I refresh the looks to see, ooh, like, is there a new way to wear something that I bought?
She's like calling the 1-800 number.
Or-
She's like, where are the stylists? They haven't updated it.
Yeah, or exactly. I'm like,
It's
why
been
isn't this
4
refreshing?
hours.
What is happening?
I need to see some more of Heather's
It's
pics.
some good inspo, you know?
Yeah.
I travel a lot. There's a little travel section. I'm like,
Oh,
ooh, I need
yeah.
those sneakers. Cool. So
Your look is super chic right now. Is that
Yeah.
all the
I
Nordstrom app?
really like this.
I think I have Topshop jeans on, but everything is Nordstrom.
I love that blazer.
Topshop jeans are the best.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
The Topshop jeans
Excuse
are the
me?
best.
Yeah. He's like, no.
I'm just kidding. I
They're
haven't
like
tried them.
similar to a girlfriend fit, except
Oh.
for more affordable.
Oh,
They are
Yeah.
really affordable, which I mean,
good to know. I mean,
Yeah.
girlfriends are not affordable, so.
No.
oh,
No,
the
but-
yeah, I don't
These
have
are
those
amazing.
yet. Every time I put them on, I feel like they're too small. I think, do they run small?
They run
They do.
small.
Or
and-
am I just in allergic?
no,
having
no.
allergic?
They
No,
run
no.
They do run
small.
small.
But they're like a rigid, so you're supposed to buy them tight,
Okay.
and then they stretch out, but then they like loosen up quite a bit. They're my favorite jeans. I seriously wear those jeans.
They
on
look
repeat.
so cool.
They look good but you do have to break them in, so there's a bit of a sacrifice. Katie had a bit of an incident in a pair this week. She said she only had done one lunge, and they completely fell apart.
Yeah, I saw that photo of her.
That's the most Katie thing.
Yeah.
God.
I
One
mean,
lunge.
We've
One
all
lunge.
done that where you've lunged in your jeans and
Well, now
Bust
I have
the
an
butt
excuse
open.
tonight. Instead of scrolling on the Nordstrom app, I'm clearly buying Henleys and my first pair of girlfriend.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, we ship
My shill
internationally.
work.
Yeah,
There
I'm
you
ready.
go.
Yeah.
There's like, she goes on tonight and there's like a Donni pics section on the website.
Yeah. Ooh,
Do
they
we
really
have
got on
that?
this fast.
I feel like we should do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Donni, Boss Babe Crush.
Okay, I have to read his name because I was listening. I keep referencing Joe Rogan on this podcast, but I was
fine.
listening to another one of his podcasts, and he was interviewing a man. I'm doing a boss man this week, by the way. Naval Ravikant. Ravikant? I can't say it. Anyways,
Yeah.
clearly
Him.
him. His Twitter is @Naval. He is, wow, he said some amazing things. Talks about, he's really like an investor, and he's like a very well-known investor in that world. But he really talked a lot about like, not balance in your life, but really how to gain happiness. I'm gonna highlight a couple of his quotes.
Yeah, you read a couple good ones at lunch.
Because I just really enjoyed listening to him, and I would urge everybody to go listen to that podcast.
Yeah.
He says this: a busy calendar and a busy mind will destroy your ability to create anything great.
Yes, that
about-
is like my get it together stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, like busy is not better.
No.
And he
Such a
we
myth,
are not
yeah.
about busy.
He talks about how Warren Buffett spends his days like walking through parks and like drinking Coca-Colas and eating McDonald's. Like seriously, he's not out being like, holy fuck, like I have no time to do this,
No.
to go for coffee, to have a social life, to be creative.
Yeah.
Because what is thriving in this world is creativity.
Right.
Yeah. And when that's lacking, it's really hard to build. So his central 3 points was like, everybody wants wealth, everybody wants happiness, and everybody wants I think it was family.
Yeah. That's
and
cool.
all of those things can be learned.
Yeah.
So how to gain those things without getting lucky. Anyways, he's got all of these amazing points.
So
I could have taken pages of notes, but I was driving.
bet.
But I think it was really influential, and I think everybody should hear his viewpoint.
Yeah, that's so good.
I like hearing good things from boss men too.
So do I. Well, I'm going to shout out another boss man.
Okay.
I haven't even shouted him out on the podcast before as my crush, but he's like my lifelong crush. I'm shouting out my husband, Dan. Keeping it sappy today.
It's Dan.
It's Dan. Hashtag it's Dan.
Dan is a star.
Yeah, he is a star.
He edits our style videos for everyone listening who doesn't know. And he also really helped us out with a podcast where we had like a little volume issue. He was like 2 seconds, had the problem solved.
He's really a jack of all trades. Like you're kind of like, oh, Dan can do that. And I'm like, what? What can't Dan do?
He does a lot. Well, it's more creative stuff like photography and videography. And
I love that.
He happened to work in professional art services, so he did that. I mean, yeah, I guess there's a few things. He does.
He's got a list.
Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful for Dan too this week. So thanks, Dan.
Shout him out for that.
I still want to meet Dan. I can't believe I haven't
I
yet.
know.
Hey, let's
you
make
email
him
him
edit
all
this
the
video
time.
and don't tell him this podcast and don't tell him. And then we're just going to be like, I love you, Dan.
We love you. Yeah. He makes everybody look great in those videos. Like our videos are awesome.
Yeah, they're very well done.
Yeah. Yours were so good with the pants.
I was so nervous about that.
It was so good.
I have a feeling our guest here would like our styling videos based on how much she likes that.
Yeah.
I think so too.
We're gonna have to show her these.
And I definitely go down the rabbit hole on YouTube at night in bed.
Oh, good.
So
Well, you can watch all 4 of our videos then.
I will.
all 4. It's gonna blow your mind.
Kate, who's your boss babe crush?
Jade Roper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We did a shoot with her last week, and her daughter are both my boss babe crushes because they got off a red eye from Italy
That's true.
and came to the shoot, and they were both ready to go. So perfect. Her daughter is a toddler, and she was so well behaved.
She was adorable.
She was adorable, and they both shot for 4 hours. Didn't complain about being tired. Like they're both so down to earth.
There was no diva in
No
that
diva.
celebrity whatsoever. They showed up. They shot for so long, and with kids, I mean, I was prepared with like snacks and vices for these children. I have kids. I know what happens, and they were just really incredibly well behaved and kind of willing to do whatever. Should we like talk about the people are probably like, why were you doing a shoot with Jade Roper?
Jade Roper collection.
Yeah, we should kind of announce we're doing a collection with them. It'll be launching in the fall. We've kind of teased that we have a collection coming with some bachelor personalities.
Yes.
They're on Bachelor in Paradise as well.
Yeah.
And the whole collection is mom and daughter.
Yeah.
So
and it's
So
Jade
cute.
Roper and Carly Waddell.
and they both met their guys on Bachelor.
yes,
They
and they're both.
did.
And we met Carly's husband, Evan.
Yeah.
And such a lovely individual as well.
I was a little fangirly, but I hid it because I didn't want them to realize that
Yeah.
I watched them fall in love on TV, and I know their entire love story.
Like I know everything about
I know
you.
everything
She's
about
like,
you,
oh,
but
what was
it's
your
fine.
name again? Evan? Oh, Evan. I can remember that. I know your birthday and favorite ice cream.
I am behind on Bachelor World, so maybe that was a good thing for me because I really didn't know very much about them. They were just like such nice, lovely.
They were so
girls.
nice.
No, they were wonderful.
That was last week's highlight. I feel like that could have been like our boss for last week.
Yeah, I was surprised you guys haven't used that yet.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, I was gonna say my boss babe crush. I feel like is from a couple weeks ago, sort of. But I'll just bring her up now because I never got to publicly talk about this. But Busy Phillips, her
Love
talk
her.
show got canceled on E,
Oh.
and I wasn't I don't know much about her. I saw a couple of the episodes with like Kourtney Kardashian or when she had some of the bigger guests on. But I saw on my YouTube stalking at night in bed. I saw some clips from her last show, and I just loved how real and raw she was about the fact that, some things work out and some things don't. And, don't quote me on this, but I think the message was that like rejection happens and we all have to find our ways. And you can tell that she was struggling to find her way. And she said something like, some people are going to get you and some people just aren't. And I think that's so true. I think with my business, like some people get it and some people want to work with me. and others don't. And we all have to deal with that, even if we're busy Phillips, right? Someone who is famous.
Isn't that amazing?
And
she deals with that too.
It was just so refreshing and real. And I really want her to speak at my Intern Queen party event, but I don't think she will, but maybe.
I think you're
putting
it in the
maybe.
universe
I know
right
I need to
now.
put it out in a positive way, but I just think that young women, I'm staring at my recent college graduate over here, but I just think young women need to understand that rejection is not just something that happens in the job process. It happens all the time. And even the people that you think are so successful are getting rejected left and right for, who knows what.
And even when you have a job, that doesn't mean you won't still be rejected.
Right.
Oh
it's not just like, oh, I'm rejected because I didn't get a job. Like, you might have this great job and you face rejection still.
Okay, but I think it's one of those things that actually, if you don't deal with it properly, gets harder as the years go by. Because sometimes I feel like everybody looks at me like, oh, like you have it all together. You've had this business. You have like check. So you're not allowed to fail.
Right.
And if you do, that feels like the
right, or you
world
must
is
not
coming
deal
down.
with anything terrible. You must not deal with any rejection.
Everything is perfect and everyone loves you.
Yeah.
And
it's actually something that Naval guy talked about on that podcast as well, and that was more the celebrity factor. But he's like, it doesn't take that many negative comments to completely zero out. Oh my God. Zero out all of the positive. So as a celebrity, when you have mass amounts of both positive and negative, believe it or not, the negative shines through more than anything.
Right.
And your world is, in a sense, like who you can trust and who you can share that with.
Yeah.
Because I think being vulnerable and sharing your rejection and your failure is the only tool how to deal with it.
Right.
If you just bottle it up and keep it to yourself,
Right.
how in the world do you get past it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
shout out
true.
to Busy. It
Yeah,
did it the
way to
right
go,
way, and
Busy.
I'm so impressed. And now I am converted to being a fan.
There you go.
I've been
I
a
will
fan
watch everything
since-
in the future.
I've been a fan
Also,
since
there's
a
probably
long
gonna
time
be
ago.
something so much greater for her.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, like that wasn't meant to be her platform, and she will now find her voice.
Right.
Well, yeah, I think I was just going to say that I've seen her do a lot of different things, and I think she just throws herself fully into whatever she's doing, where she's not expecting anything else except success. And I think that's what eventually makes you, because she's like, just gives it her all.
Totally.
Yeah, that's a really good. I think.
Well,
that
okay,
she's-
so that's
she's
another thing
cool.
is like creative people reinvent themselves all the time.
Yeah.
So there's like such a high degree of rejection and failure
Oh, yeah.
in that. Can you imagine that? I mean, we all like kind of like you get into like the same routine. You build something slowly. You know, it's the marathon, it's not the sprint. But some of those celebrity personalities that are truly creatives are dabbling into a bunch of different areas, which is so brave and so bold.
Right.
For her to even go there and to try
Right.
that and to do the talk show
Yeah.
Right.
is such a success.
Yeah.
So brave. Yeah. Donni, what's one thing you're working on improving?
This is really simple, and I've used this before, but it's something that I think of all the time from our podcast, from Alyssa Lynch's episode. And she was like, drink water. It's as simple as that. Seriously, my life gets busy. I'm on the go. I'm drinking. I'm making a conscious effort to drink a
I'm
lot
taking
of
a
water.
sip as you say
Yes,
that. I'm
okay,
terrible.
everyone.
Yeah, a little water cheers.
And
I'm so bad at it.
It is so funny because when I slam a glass of water, I'm always thinking of Alyssa.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of that podcast. And I'm like, drink water, drink water.
This morning at Starbucks in the airport, I grabbed a bottle of water out of like the warm section. Kate's like, why are you grabbing warm water? And I was like, because then I can literally take this 1 liter and down the whole thing in 2 minutes and then I'm done.
Yeah, I can't do cold water.
That's like my 1 liter for the half day that I'm set. That's how I do my water.
Yeah. And then me and you, like literally, they
Mass
put
quantities.
the seatbelt light back on and we both have to go to the bathroom. Oh, it's the worst.
It's like, why is it as soon as the seatbelt light comes on, I'm going to pee my pants?
Instantly.
Okay. On that note, okay, so I have a birthday coming up, and Donnie's is only 2 weeks behind me, so nobody.
Thanks, Leah.
Donnie, I'm only 12 days older than you.
Still older.
We're both born in the same year of 93.
Yeah, 1993.
I really had a hard time wrapping my head around this age because it's a weird one for me.
I
I'm
know
like,
22 is hard.
I know. It's like, I just don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to celebrate my age instead of like looking at where you think you should be or what you should have done at this stage, or thinking a million things that I could be thinking.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to be like, you know what? I survived another year.
That's true.
I'm healthy. I have great family and friends and work, and like celebrating the things that are around me instead of thinking of all the things I don't have or haven't achieved, or you guys know what I mean.
I think you should be very proud of where you're at in your life.
I think so too.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to have rooftop rosé with you tonight.
Yes.
Celebrate your birthday.
Maybe
We'll toast both of our
Mexico, Leah,
birthdays.
a little bit.
I know Caitlin is begging
We'll
for
see.
Mexico Leah to come out.
We'll see.
She doesn't come out very often.
She doesn't.
No.
What
Okay,
about you,
Kate.
Donni and I talked about this a bit last week, just because of this is how I am in my personality, but I need to stop taking things so personally.
Oh, I'm
Like
a
somebody
victim
will
to
say
that, too.
something to me and I'll think about it for hours, and a week later I'll be like, you know what you said last week? And I'll be like, what? You're still thinking about that? It's like, yeah, I totally am.
You're sensitive.
Very.
Okay, but good. I will give you so much credit for bringing it up later, because I don't do that, and I might dwell on it for years.
Me too.
I might
10
be
years will
thinking-
pass. I hadn't
Yes,
talked. I won't
But
talk to that
that's been
person
a
for 10
recent
years.
thing where I'm like, okay, I should actually just say something, otherwise this is going to bother me forever.
Oh, you're so wise.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I like
feel
this.
like the next day, if it's still a thing, just try to like
Yeah, just talk
clearly
about it.
So good.
communicate, let your intention shine through.
Because nothing is worse than that bottled up hurt. It's just hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So true.
yeah,
Yeah,
mine.
Lauren.
So what I'm working on. So okay, my husband and I travel all the time. It is rare. We've been home for 2 weeks, and that has not happened all year. That we've been home
Wow.
for 2 weeks in a row. So we
You must
have
be getting stir crazy.
yeah, I know, right? We're leaving Friday, but we have always sort of had this philosophy that we're entrepreneurs. We travel all the time. We book our travels super last minute because we don't know where we're going to be coming from
Donni?
or what place. Or We like have this whole, we have this whole shtick. And our friends kind of know that if we're going on it, and this is personal and work trips, right? If our friends kind of know that we're the people that are going to book the week before, and if it costs more money, it costs more money. What we figure it out. I said to him over the weekend, I was like, I think we have it all wrong. We've been together for 10 years. We got to change it up. I said, I feel like every time we're together, all we're talking about is planning the trips because we haven't planned anything yet. So I said, I want to start an experiment where we are going to plan 3 months out, which for us is crazy. But we sort of do know the trips that we're going on between now and so 3 months is September. So the other night, I made him sit down with me and we literally booked, and we are flying Southwest a lot recently, which is helpful because you don't have to pay change fees if you switch the ticket. So that's helpful. But I was like, worst case scenario, they'll charge us $150 and we'll have sanity. I think it's worth it. So we sat down and we planned every flight from this week we had planned already, but through September. We even booked a trip with my family before they even booked their flights, and my mom was, I don't think she knew how to process the news that we'd already booked.
You're already booked.
Yeah.
From one extreme to another, though.
So the goal here is so that we do cool stuff all the time, whether it's work or personal, whatever it is. But I feel like we have no time to think about it or reflect about it or talk about it, and it all just feels like a blur.
Because you're just hurrying.
You're just going to the next thing. Like we leave a friend's house, we get in the car, we're immediately talking about the plan for like that night, that week, that month. And so my goal is that because it's all planned and we won't have to talk about flights and flight times and airports and all that, then maybe we can have some more reflection time. So I'll let you know how it goes. But the 3-month experiment is on.
I think that's a great plan.
I've actually talked about trying this as well. And I've said, okay, let's just go sit down and calendar out. Because we've 3 kids. So we plan, but like we don't get to the point sometimes, like we miss things because we are so spontaneous, and we're like, well, we'll just do it. But at the end of the day, we're actually really tired because we're both running our businesses, and because we have kids and they are in activities and there's a million other things. It gets to the point where we were going to go to Europe in a couple weeks, and it was just like too exhausting to even think about it. Like we're just tired. But I think if we actually sat down and just put it on calendar and planned it, there's no question we would do it.
Right. And that's funny because we're going to Europe on Wednesday of next week, and it was similar though, where I was like, it was like the trip was becoming stressful, even though it's a magical vacation, but it was becoming stressful because it just felt like this big thing that we literally planned. We booked our flight, I think, home last week, and that should have been planned months ago. Like we knew what we were doing.
Have you ever got to the airport and you thought you had booked the flight and you literally had no flight? I've done that.
You have? Oh my goodness. I was like, I don't know, but I hear you.
It was
I
actually the
see why that could
return end of
happen.
the flight. Like, so I was like in Las Vegas and everyone was checking in for their flights. I'm trying to check in.
And you're like, wait, what's happening?
Why don't I have
That's
a
so funny.
flight?
I
it's
hear
because
ya.
I didn't book the flight.
Right.
Like I just didn't.
Isn't it amazing? So like the planner in me is so happy because I'm all about planning.
Yeah, you're
The
like, I
planner
don't
in
have
me
these
is like-
problems.
yeah, I'm like, planning does make you feel a certain amount, right? Like you're not going to plan out every second of your trip, but a certain amount of planning actually gives you more space to relax.
Right.
I also feel like the anticipation of the trip is almost as exciting as the trip.
Oh, it is.
Like if
For
you're
sure.
going to Europe, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get my beach body. I'm gonna be at the
Right.
gym. I'm probably gonna like be like
Total- all the
perfectly groomed. I'm
things.
gonna
Yep.
do all the things.
Yep.
I'm gonna look amazing. And you're like, you're shopping for it. Like
Right.
it's just like that's kind of half the fun.
Right. And if you don't have that for yourself,
You
then
kind of
it's-
just sacrifice that.
Yeah,
right.
you do.
Right.
It's still fun.
Right.
And it's also, I understand, it's really fun to label yourself as being spontaneous. And it's fun to just know that you're so easygoing that you fly by the seat of your pants and I'm cool with anything.
Right.
And I'm like, super calm and cool as a cucumber. But like really, if it's causing anxiety or stress on the other end, which it has for me at least for the last 6 years.
Same. Yeah. Yeah.
Not worth it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I should try
Lauren.
that. You've challenged me.
You should try it. Okay, tell us. We're going to dive into you now. For any of our listeners who maybe haven't heard of you, or for people who have just heard your name for the first time, can you tell us a bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yes. So I started a company called Intern Queen 10 years ago. I had 15 internships in college and really no one to sort of push me in the right direction when I was in college. So I would always look for resources, internship help, career guidance, and I always fell short. So when I was graduating college, I thought, wait, there should be a website, a community, a place, a person that I can reach out to get internship advice. And since I never had that person, maybe I, after 15 internships, could be that person for my peers and my peers at the time and now students everywhere. So I started Intern Queen. I got the web domain in college, but I didn't actually start it until a few years after college. But I have been running it now for 10 years.
Wow.
And the business has definitely, it stayed the same in some ways, but it's also evolved in a lot of ways. We still have internqueen.com, which is our student-facing site. We have free internships posted on there that people can apply to and advice all the time. We also have advice on our YouTube channel and our social media. Everything is just at Intern Queen, so you can find us everywhere. And then over the years, it's kind of grown into this full service college marketing agency. So we have all of these great students that are coming to us looking for experiences, and as an additional way to not only monetize the company, but also bring more experiences to our students, we started working with brands, and we basically pitch brands and say, hey, if you want college ambassadors to promote your products or services, hire us and we'll put these students all over the US and Canada, we'll put them to work for you and they'll throw college parties for you, or they'll sample products or post on social. Mm-hmm. So we have this full service college marketing agency that's really helped scale the business and take it to a level that I don't think I saw it going to.
It's like an agency at that.
Yeah, yeah. So we're like part marketing agency, part student lifestyle brand. And then in November, we launched Career Queen. We've been very lucky and worked with students for the past 10 years. And the question is, where are they now? And a lot of them are still in touch with us and they have really cool jobs and they're all looking for that next step. And I know from a hiring standpoint, sometimes it's not that hard to find people right out of college, but it's really hard to find people a few years out of college that are at sort of that coordinator level. And we have so many of them and they're awesome. So the idea with Career Queen is on a really boutique level, can we match really cool companies, media, fashion, PR related with these students who are in big cities everywhere. So Career Queen is definitely in its infancy. Right now we have at official Career Queen is the Instagram handle, and careerqueen.com is our blog. But we're really just trying to make sure the content is super specific. I think everyone's read enough resume articles for the rest of time. So just trying to make sure that we're, following around a book publisher to see what her day-to-day is like, or, talking to people with really specific, interesting jobs and circumstances. So That's Intern Queen, and I do have 3 books out. My 3rd book came out. It's called Get It Together. So my first book was on internship advice. My second book was on career advice, and the third is just about how to not feel so busy all the time, how to at least start to feel like you have it all together. I am the first to admit I do not have it together, but I am trying all the time. So that's the business that I've created.
That is a lot.
It's a lot, and I love reading through your bio and seeing everything that you've done and the press features you've gotten that are truly recognizing the benefit of this. I was thinking about it when we first started talking to you about podcasting. That's something that no one's being taught this in school. They don't teach you how to go find a job or how to get an internship or how to advance in your career or make a lateral move that's a benefit in the long run. No one's teaching this. And I bet there's not many parents that really teach that to their kids either. I know mine didn't teach me that. So it's this is a service that I can't believe that has not been out there for longer.
I know it seems kind of crazy that it really hasn't been.
And I'm sure other people have done it, of course.
Yeah.
But maybe not as niche, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not as niche, but I think it's so relevant and so beneficial.
Thank you. Yeah, I think sometimes some people just need to be sort of inspired and pointed in the right direction. And I think that's what I can be for a lot of people is I always say I can't help every single person ever in the world get their dream job, their dream internship. It's not really the goal here. That's probably not going to happen. But hopefully I can just play a role and either inspire them in some way or give them, one little piece of advice that's going to really change the way that things happen for them and play out in their career.
Did you think when you got out of school that you would end up starting this big company?
No, it's funny when I look back in college, 2009 was when I started Intern Queen, and entrepreneurship was not what it is today. None of my friends ran their own businesses. In fact, people looked at me like I was crazy running my own business at that time. So in school, no one ever said, you can run your own business. And so I think because of that, it never really clicked that this could be something. I remember my senior year of college, I would go to the bookstore and I would grab all these books about how to start your own business. I was a communications major. I was not a business major. I didn't know much, but I would just sit there and drink those Java chip frappuccinos and, read all these random books and make notes on my notebook. And I just sort of figured out how to start a business and how to do it.
Direction.
Yeah, it's funny when you look back, I'm like, I guess it was in the cards for me back then. And I didn't really know it. I thought that you graduated college and you went to get a job somewhere. And that's what I did. I moved out here. I'm from Florida originally, from Clearwater by Tampa. And I moved to LA after graduation. I had contacts from my internships and that was it. And I had my first job was at Creative Artist Agency, CAA, the big talent agency. I worked there for 2 years because again, I thought that that's what you do. Yeah. I was passionate about.
You're just next step.
You get a job. And I did. And I had a very cool job. So that was hard as well. I had this gut feeling about Intern Queen, yet I was at this cool talent agency where my boss represented movie stars. So it's hard to tell people, even my parents who are looking at this from across the country, it was hard to be like, Mom and Dad, so I'm going to leave this, the biggest talent agency on the planet, and I'm going to go be the Intern Queen, a company that does not exist.
But it's going to be
kind of a funny, it's a cheeky name,
So
I'm going to go do this.
You had the name.
Yeah, I bought the web domain, internqueen.com for $9 on GoDaddy in, plug to GoDaddy, but in college, my senior year. So I had internqueen.com.
That
was sort
is
of a
cool
blog
to me.
Site.
That's so cool.
That's really cool to me that you bought it in college and didn't do anything with it.
I was blogging on there. So every once in a while I would write a blog. Blogging was just, I feel like it was just starting to
pretty early.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everybody needed a website back then.
But you took this, you had safe. Your life was safe. You were working this awesome job.
It was safe and it was cool. And I almost think the cool factor was harder than the safe factor because I was drinking the Kool-Aid, which when you move to LA to do something in entertainment and you work at a CAA, a William Morris, any of them, that is life. And that is the best version of life when you're a 20-something out of college. And so to be the person, especially with all the friends I had made, to vocally say that I wanted to leave that was one of the hardest parts because I was so convinced that was the coolest thing ever.
Like
and I wanted to go
so
home.
ballsy. That is such a risk that you took. I admire that.
Yeah.
I think most people would just be like, no, I've made it now. This is what I'm doing.
No, you just kind of most people would just quiet the voice in the back of their head that had bought the domain.
Yeah.
Was like, that's just a project. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Maybe I'll do it on the side and I'll do it part-time. But to actually take that step is so admirable. And I think that took like major.
Oh yeah. I remember
guts.
like driving to work and crying on the way. I was just so kind of lost and confused, and you know, when you're at a place and all of your friends again think it's so cool. And I remember also I had this moment where one of my coworkers, who was an assistant with me, he was reading a movie script and he was so passionate about this movie script. And for me, the idea of taking home scripts on the weekend was not fun. So I just knew that he was so much better at the job than I was. And I thought to myself, I want something that I'm that passionate about. Like I want to work too. And I knew for me, it wasn't reading movie scripts. So here we are.
That's actually a really good point. You wanted to do something you were passionate about, but how do you guide people that are listening to you on your blog or any of your resources when they're wanting to chase their passion, but it's really not viable at the time? Like, what advice do you have for people, passion versus practical?
Yeah. So, you know, I have a little bit of a battle with that one because yes, you want to pursue your passions. And just like, you know, I didn't have anyone pushing me to go be the intern queen full time. I finally just had a gut feeling. And after so much, you know, after so many tears and just battling the situation I was in, I just felt like I had to go and try it. But I will say that I was not very prepared to go out and run my own business. Something that people talk a lot about is passion. Something that people don't talk a lot about is money. And yes, you can be someone that goes out and raises capital, and we see all of those men and women in the media, and that's very cool that they go that way. I didn't go that way. I've never raised any money. And so when I started Intern Queen, I had a few $5,000 specifically in my bank account in Los Angeles. That was it. My rent was $1,350. So if you do the math, I didn't have that many months to live off of. And I had to figure it out. And I don't think, and I think I was just young looking back, but I don't know that it fully registered that I was going to have to find a way to monetize this and quickly.
That's very quick.
Because I couldn't sit around writing my blog all day. Like, it's not like I had any advertisers, right? I couldn't just, sure, I want to help students get internships and give people advice, but if I did that all day, I wouldn't make any money. So that was a really... it kind of hit me, you know, like a ton of bricks that, I better figure this out real quick. I was so busy thinking of the passion that I forgot about the paycheck. So I guess my advice for people listening is you have to kind of find that balance. And if I could go back and do it again, I probably would have had a bit of a rollout plan there. Maybe not, you don't need a formal business plan, but just a plan in terms of, okay, if I want to build an internship website that's dynamic, that's going to cost me X amount of dollars. How am I going to make the money to build that website, right?
So like thinking it through the logic.
Did you hit a financial wall?
I figured it out because I'm a crazy person. I said, okay, I need a website. That's how this whole thing is going to live. And I had a basic website, but I couldn't do, I couldn't create internship search functionality with my basic WordPress site. That was probably free at the time. So I said, okay, how am I going to make the money? I think I could be a college speaker and I could be hired to go speak at colleges, but I don't know anybody. So I said, I'm going to make 40 phone calls a day and I'm going to call these colleges and I'm going to get them to pay to have me come and speak. And so every day I would call 40 companies a day. And finally, I don't remember how many days passed, but a school in Iowa, a community college said, we'll pay you $200 to come here. I think I actually lost money because I forgot to ask for them to cover my
travel
flight. Oh, yeah. So, whoops, that was a learning. But that was the first one. And then slowly I was able to get my rate up and up and up. And finally I was able to save enough so that I could greenlight a website. Now, I'm not saying the website worked great because I couldn't afford, you know, the fancy developer. I had to go with the other guy. But, you know, I had a website and it's since been changed over a couple times, but people could, companies could start paying to post internships, students could start searching. And from there, the community really sort of took off.
Very cool. That's really neat.
40 phone calls a day, everybody.
You know, that's when I'm listening to your story, though, I think something that you have that maybe some people haven't learned yet, and this rolls into the next topic, is grit. You were just like, I'm going to figure it out. It's not an option to stand by and watch it fail. You were like, what do I have to do to get to the next level? Okay, I'm going to do that. It's like Donni talks about what's the next right step? What's the next logical step? Like what comes next?
Right.
And we were talking at lunch a little bit today, and Kate is like our resident 22-year-old. I mean, we're not that far ahead. But
the age jokes just never get old.
I
know you guys have me at like 1993. I'm like, okay.
No,
it's 83.
It's 83.
I was like, okay, that's close to my age. I was
She
like,
doesn't know us, so she's like,
know.
I'm like,
look older
where are
than
we
that.
going here in
That's
the
so
age?
weird.
She's like,
It's
wow,
okay.
you guys look old for that age.
It's okay. I'm 84.
Fantastic. But we were talking at lunch and saying that Kate is an anomaly for her age. There's what we have found through managing younger staff is that there is a bit of a difference nowadays, and maybe you can comment into this also, that we found that some team members don't quite have that grit, and we're seeing more and more that don't have that ability to just figure something out and do it.
I want to use the word entitlement, not in a way that it has to be negative, but there is an expectation for students that leave school that they have an idea about what they expect, and so therefore that should be.
Yeah, like
But
I
that
want to
isn't
be
how it
I want to
works.
be managing a team of 6 and like putting my feet up and just watching my team do all the work, and we're like, no, you're started at the beginning.
Yeah, it's not how that works. And also seniority isn't how it works either necessarily. Like it's hard work.
I don't kick my feet up all day.
Like I would like to know what your expectations were when you started Intern Queen and how that panned out, like reality versus
Oh my gosh.
expectations versus reality.
Yeah. Whenever I sit on panels with other girl bosses, right? And people say things like, oh, my team is everything. Team. I'm always like, oh my gosh, building a team has been the hardest thing in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, today at Intern Queen, we're at a really good place. We have 8 people that work for Intern Queen, and thank God, like knock on wood, we're in a good place. But so when I started Intern Queen, I didn't have any team members. I had come from a talent agency where you work, hustle. You work really late and crazy hours. You're expected to be on all the time. So that was kind of the training and backbone that I had. And I think the reality is that a lot of people don't have that kind of backbone anymore. It's really shifted. And so people, like you said, come into the workplace, it comes across as entitled, or the expectations are just a little bit different. And then as I've hired people over the years, I mean, I've experienced every kind of challenge, every kind of bizarre conversation. And I'm trying to think of the biggest takeaways. I think especially with a smaller organization, a lot of people come in and they come into a new role where there's a lot of flexibility and opportunity and all these great things. But I think what they forget is that things take a minute, right? Yes, like at a big company, you hear about process it, like things never happen because there's just too many people and the processes are so ridiculous. And then at a small company, your voice is heard, your idea can be executed. Yes, but it still takes a while to, just get things done and to get used to your position. And we've had a lot of people that come in and they quit after 2 months. And that always kind of bums me out because I feel like they need to give it a minute. We need to get used to having them. They need to get used to having us. And it just takes a minute to, to work through all the issues, to get all the processes aligned, and then to really, I feel like after 3 months, like that's when you can really kind of get into the good stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
I also feel like you have to like measure the cost benefit as well, because yes, with a small business, it can take a minute, but also you have to expect that in a small company versus like a large corporation, and this is what I find sometimes with less experienced people, is that they want the specific job. They're like, I went to school for merchandising.
Right.
And they want a corporate title and they want something. And with a small business, jobs are diverse.
Right.
They have to be diverse because that's just the structure of what needs to happen to make growth take place.
I hate hearing the phrase, that's not my job. That with my team. Because I'm like, I'm the CEO that like, if I need to sit on the floor and stuff gift bags, great. I'm sitting on the floor and stuffing a gift bag.
I'm the CEO, so therefore I will wash the toilets.
Exactly. And which I have to do. I had to deal with a bee problem at the trash can the other day. Like that was on me for, because who else is going to do it? So absolutely. So I think the worst thing for anybody listening who's in college, I think the worst thing you can say, or even just maybe not in college, maybe a few years out of college, is like you shouldn't have any boundaries. If you're thinking to yourself, this isn't my job, this isn't my job, this isn't my job repeatedly, then maybe have a conversation with someone about that and get some clarity, but really be open to just being there to help. I used to have one of my first assistants that I really loved working with. She used to always say, I'm here to help. I'm here to help. And I really took that from her because now I really try to say that to clients all the time. Like, we're here to help. We're here to help. And I think that's such a small but mighty phrase.
Shows the intention. And it's hard to show intention.
It really is. I also think that I've worked with a lot of entry-level talent where they want to have feelings talks all the time. And I'm fine to have a good old feelings talk every so often, maybe a handful of times a year. Maybe if I had to put a number on it, once a quarter, sure. If we need to have a feelings talk, we can have a feelings talk. I'd rather it be twice a year for a feelings talk. But we've also had people that they want to talk about feelings, they want to make recommendations, they want to have feedback. I hear their feedback, I'm processing. There has to be a priority order, and then we continue. But I'll have people that will have a talk, and then 2 weeks later, they want another talk and another talk. And I get to a point where I'm like, we can no longer. I think I was mentioning too, we hired a head of operations who's been really essential in our business because couldn't have any more feelings talks. Yeah. Now she gets to have them. But, it's just, things don't come right away and things take time. And, patience is key. It's one thing if you've been at a company for a year and you've asked for something and you are just continuously getting shut out and just not getting what you want, not getting an answer, okay. But if it's been a month, I mean, give people a minute. There is a priority order and there's more going on than just you and your, whatever request you have. So.
And you've been hired to do a job. So let's put that first and everything else on the sidelines.
Right. Let's do the job. Let's figure it out. Let's be respectful of everybody, all the things. It's interesting though. I don't want to veer too much topic wise. So you guys tell me if I do better.
You go. And then I have a question.
You go for it.
One thing that I've really been trying to embrace as an employer, and one thing I don't want to say learned over the years, but where my mentality has really shifted is couple years ago, or no, just up until even last year, whenever I'd hire people that had their own business on the side or wanted to be everything from a voiceover actress to a movie star to whatever the dreams of individuals are, right? When I used to hire those people, I used to be a little bit scared / maybe a little bit threatened by whatever they had going on the side, because I thought that maybe them having this other thing would make them not as devoted to my business, right? And would make them like, I always felt like, I'm just going to waste my time with this person. I'm going to teach them everything and they're going to go off and do their own thing. And then I'm going to have to find another. So as of probably over the past year, I've really shifted. All of my team members right now, most of them have other hobbies. One of them wants to be a scriptwriter. Another wants to be a model. One wanted to have her own podcast one day. And I've really shifted to being like, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong here. Like maybe people having these really strong passions and hobbies doesn't mean they're going to leave Intern Queen one day. Just means that they need to I think someone put it as they need to fill their soul cup, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost part of their self-care. So I've really tried to shift, which isn't always easy, but embrace people's hobbies. I think that we got a nice pen for our team member who wants to be a scriptwriter for her birthday. I think that's what we got her. But just leaning in and embracing it and not being so scared that just because they have this hobby, they're going to leave me one day and screw me over, right? Essentially. Yeah. So it's been interesting. And I think that we've had some conversations about it within my team and people seem to really appreciate it. So we'll see how it goes. You always get a little nervous, but
that guy that I referenced Naval, he spoke about that and he talks about his vision for the future, like how the landscape of like employer is going to shift over the next. And he thinks it's going to completely go back to like the self. Look at what Uber's done, right? It's made everybody like in some degree like a contractor. So it goes to like empowering the individual. And I think there is a bit of a shift in the employer landscape that might lend to more contracted work because people are doing different things as well. And it is so common now for people to have two jobs, right? And or to have a side gig.
Yeah. And a lot of people that I interview are like, oh, I'm only looking for 30 hours. I'm like, huh? Yeah. It used to be, I want 40 hours in benefits or I'm not talking to you. Yeah. So it's just a changed
I think there's landscape. A shift and I have seen that a little bit on our side as well. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think there's something there. But you have to be open-minded to the change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into the next question, I have to ask one more question. Okay. I want to know what you spoke about when you got hired at that school. What was it, University of Ohio, you said?
Oh, in Iowa?
Iowa. Do you remember what you spoke about?
Oh, yeah. It was definitely what I would call like my Intern Queen signature speech where I just go in and I talk about my 15 internships. Not all of them, but, I summarize it. And I have some fun stories to share about mistakes that I made as an intern and some wins that I had as an intern. And then really just went through a lot of advice for the application process, the actual internship, how to stay in touch. My rule is that you stay in touch with your professional contacts 3 times per year, regardless, even for non-interns. I think we all should be in touch with professional contacts 3 times per year just to keep it fresh. So yeah, that was what I talked about.
That's
and
really
I still
good.
do a version of that speech all the time. So you can imagine I could do it like in the shower with my eyes closed, like backwards.
How much of your time do you spend doing the speaking?
I used to spend a lot more before the campus agency business was so big. The speaking piece was a huge revenue stream for us, and it's still nice. And it's. I think what's changed is that it used to be kind of about the money. Because it was what was keeping us afloat. Now that the campus agency piece has been so profitable for us, the speaking piece can be a little bit more of a, it's a nice to have, not a need to have. So it's great because I can make sure that I'm speaking at the right events. I don't have to worry so much about negotiating the pay. And like, for example, I'm headed to DC this weekend to speak at a women entrepreneurship conference. So I'd say it's happening, but not as much as it was 5 years ago when I was at a different school every single day.
Probably a time thing as well for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, being in LA, it's like you go anywhere, it takes 2 days, right? I can't go day of unless it's on the West Coast, which it never is for some reason. So it does take a lot of time. But I think, as we mentioned before, I do a lot of things. I have these, it's a whole spiel. We went through it earlier. I think that the thing that I'm best at is the speaking. So I try to make sure that doesn't get too far away from me because I think my ability to connect with students on stage is probably the best gift I can offer.
I think that's why I asked about that because I do find it interesting that that's where you started. And so I think that's probably where the passion began.
Yeah.
Because for me, if it was at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I would have said, well, I'm not ready to speak about anything yet until I have all my experience and everything. And then I can, get on stage and, have some experience to back it up. But I think it's really interesting that when the rubber met the pavement and you really needed to pay the bills. That
is an interesting way to think about it. Yeah, I really started from a place of not being prepared.
No, I think it's amazing, but I do think it's different.
Yeah, it is different.
And I have a lot of respect for it.
Yeah, I think that's where I was saying like you have that grit where you're just like, I'm going to figure it out.
I appreciate that. And I'm telling you, like, it doesn't necessarily get easier. I mentioned to you all earlier, we're in the midst of putting together our annual Intern Queen party series. We've been doing it for 9 years. And this year I decided to do 7 parties because I am crazy, as I've said.
It's lofty.
Yeah. And we're in crunch time. I'm going out of town. I'm going out of the country on Wednesday. I'm trying to figure this out. And, I sit there all the time and I'm like, I got to figure this out. Like, who's going to speak on our panel? Where are we going to have the party? Who's going to donate to the gift bags? And if I don't sit down and use that grit to figure it out, I'm in trouble.
No one's going to.
Right.
Okay. So before we wrap up, we just have a couple of listener questions.
Okay.
So can you maybe share a couple pieces of advice for our listeners who are looking to advance, maybe where they're at, or advance, make a shift or a move to a different company? Just a couple of tips.
Yeah, I think when you're starting to have those gut feelings about wanting to move ahead, it's best, even as an intern, for example, I think it's best to try to have some sort of meeting with your supervisors, whoever the appropriate people are, and just kind of put that on their radar. I think there's a lot of assumptions in the workplace that people know I want to turn this internship into a job, or people know I want to switch departments. Everybody's so caught up in themselves, like nobody's paying attention. So even when you think they are. So make sure you sit down and you clearly articulate what you're trying to do. And then I say, no matter what level you're at, use the advice card. I use it all the time. And ask people for advice, because they'll really give you the answers to the test. But it's a matter of sitting down and really articulating that.
I love that. What's one thing that you wish you had known while you were interning?
What is one thing I wish I knew when I was interning? I think maybe that it was okay to fail and that I was going to mess up, and it was all in the recovery. Yeah. So we all mess up as interns and do weird things.
Yeah. And even not even just as interns.
Right.
Oh, and like, that's the shift. Like, we're talking about the shift.
Right.
You don't have the shift without a failure that precedes it. Like, you need to have that in order to get you to where you need to be.
Right.
Okay, Lauren, we love to ask all of our guests to share a piece of advice or a mantra that they're living their life by.
Yeah, I would say go for the ask. Like, you just have to ask. And I give that advice to other people, and then a lot of times I have to give it to myself. But just ask. It's okay. And no matter how high up or scary the position or the place or the circumstance might be, as long as you're polite and you're consistent and you hold yourself like a professional regardless of the answer, just go for the ask. Our New York City venue for the Intern Queen party is the Gramercy Theater, which I think is so cool. And if you would have asked me, I would have said it was a dream venue. I definitely did not think they would work with us, especially with price and things like that. I had so many people telling us that our budget was embarrassing and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, this is our budget, so I don't know what to say. But,
entrepreneurship.
I picked
What's
up
a budget?
Yeah. I got an email from the Gramercy. They were real expensive, and I picked up the phone and I went into desperation begging mode, and it worked. And, we were able to negotiate a price that worked for them and worked for us, and it was amazing. And if I hadn't gone for the ask and picked up the phone, then who knows where the party would be this year. So go for that ask.
I love that. That's so good.
That too.
We have kind of plugged your businesses already, but let's remind our listeners one more time where they can find you online.
Thanks. So we have 3 Instagrams, which I know is a lot, but so if you're in college, follow at Intern Queen. If you're out of college, follow at Official Career Queen. And then my personal is at Official Lauren Berger. That's Berger. And then my newest book that came out is called Get It Together, and you can get it on Amazon or at any bookstore near you.
And we'll post all of the links for anyone who's looking to just have a direct click so that it's nice and easy. Thank you so much, Lauren. I feel like we could have chatted with you for hours.
I know.
This is so fantastic.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah.
I hope I wasn't interrupting, because I was just like relating so hardcore to everything you were saying and every
no, I loved it. I do think we could talk for hours for sure. And
I'm do a part 2.
Yeah, and I'll do my shopping homework, I promise, tonight.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you love PRIV Talks podcast, please rate and review. Then DM us a screenshot of your review with your address to @PRIV Talks podcast so we can send you a free gift. Also, we want to keep the conversation going, so please join us on Instagram and get into our private Facebook group where we can chat and stay connected. Thank you so much. See you next time.